Anderson Business Coaching inspires extraordinary organizational results by engaging the talents of ordinary people. ABC opens the communication links from the top to the bottom of the organization to tap into an untapped reserve of creative ideas and solutions by the people who do the work every day. Secondly, we identify external resources that have the experience and capability to develop systems and processes that the internal staff can manage.
This is Ray Anderson. Welcome to another episode of Catapult Your Business with Good-Hearted Leadership. I'm really honored today. I'm going to be able to speak to a gentleman who's developed a technology that's really remarkable. But before we get there, I want to touch on 5 principles that I keep reiterating because of the importance of them in building a strong business that not only does well, but does good. And Michel von Scheck is going to be able to explain how he's used this technology. But the first principle here is united vision. If you can't have everybody inside your organization and the community working in the same direction, we get fractured, and we see that all the time. The second thing that's really important is fearless communication. Too many times, and Michelle's going to be talking about that, how many times inside of businesses, if people are afraid of communicating because they're called names or because they're troublemakers or because they feel like they can't communicate, the opportunity to really make a change, significant change, gets pummeled in some way. Number 3 is how do we get them appropriate skills? It's very difficult to teach people what's appropriate. And what's really interesting about this today is we have this Ebola crisis in the nation, which is representative of poor protocols, people not knowing what they do, not being appropriately trained, and so we're going to be talking about that. Number 4 is meaningful incentives. Unless people are incented to do something, and this isn't about money as much as it is about challenge, it's about resources, it's about having an opportunity, it's about feeling like you belong. And finally, necessary resources. If we can change people's ideas of what a resource is, as an example, if a CEO understands that he can't go any further and he just tries to hire the resource he can afford, it's quite possible he will never get the capacity and the talents and the ability he needs. And so Michel's an example of somebody who's really been able to understand these 5 principles, and we're going to have this opportunity to share with him. He's developed a company called AquaOx, and today we're going to be talking about how that technology that he's been using here in the United States and also has been used extensively in Japan could really be of value, not only today here in our hospitals, but potentially in this Ebola crisis and other places. Welcome, Michel. It's good to see you again. I always enjoy seeing you. I'm anxious to be able to learn more about this. So would you begin by giving us a little of your background story, because you have such a fascinating history with your father, where you come from, and how you happen to end up here in the Inland Empire.
Sure. I was born 45 years ago in the Netherlands. My parents had a small company where they had hotel vessels, and I had the opportunity to go to East Europe, and this is where I first saw this technology. I saw it in a Russian army hospital, where they very simply made on-site a cleaning and a disinfecting liquid. And as I saw that, I was immediately intrigued with it and wanted to learn more about it. And that was the path that I followed. So I went to Russia, met some people in those institutes, made some joint ventures, start trying to commercialize the technology. And yeah, it's been a long road. It's 18 years ago that started, and we are right now at a point that we think that the technology is perfected, and we have done some successful things in the last 2 years, and hopefully we can continue that path.
Cool. If you could, you've abbreviated 18 years in about 30 sentences. So, yeah. You know, what I'd like you to do is what led, after you discovered the technology, what led you ultimately here? And how did you end up in the Inland Empire when you could have picked any place in the world?
Well, it's a good question. I was doing a business with people in Russia. I not necessarily wanted to live there. I picked a small country, was Estonia, had a very good business climate. So I stayed there, learned to know my wife there. At the moment that we knew that we were expecting, we wanted to go out. We thought this was not the right place to raise children. So it was not really a business decision, it was more like a private decision.
Oh, okay. So a
and
personal decision.
then we went, so where we want to raise our children and where we want to have our family and where is a good business environment. So I choose to go to the United States and proved to be a very good decision.
Well, good. So now, were you in Russia prior to the fall of the Soviet Union, or was this subsequent to the fall of the Soviet Union?
I was in. It was just after the fall of the wall.
So all this kind of helped you. Now, as I understand it, your family still lives in Florida, and you're doing your business here in an empire. Is that correct, or?
Yes. When I came over here in 2006, 2007, I basically was importing equipment that came from the Netherlands. My brother's still involved in the business there. We have a facility over there. This country works a little bit different. The markets are different, so we had to adjust that whole program. In 2011, I got my own line of product here made in the United States, and I was getting traction, getting equipment installed around. And by the end of 2011, I was phoned by a company, a local company here, that wanted to know more about my abilities to make hypochlorite acid. Mm-hmm. And that ultimately led to, in 2012, to a new partnership. Mm-hmm. And that brought me here to California.
All right. Now help us out here a little bit, because I know the technology used is very sophisticated. What's your educational background, and how did you happen to move into this? Was this self-taught, or was this part of your?
Yeah, my education is I am basically a bachelor in accounting. I did some marketing and economics, so I don't have really a technical education. The technical stuff, I learned that somehow I had some touch for things. When I was first getting stuff from Russia, and we made things in the Netherlands, it wasn't always right. Mm-hmm. And then I had engineers working, and they came up with some solutions which didn't always seem right to me. So I without having maybe a clear theory how to do things a different way, I just forced to do it, and sometimes it worked. So we found some things by trial and error.
Well, no, it's interesting. You of course know the story of Edison, who really didn't have a formal education. I think he left school mm-hmm. when he was in the 8th grade, and his point was that somebody said, you've tried this 1,000 times and it didn't work, and he says, no, I found 1,000 ways in which to get better.
Yeah. Well, what you learn is the things that do not work, and then you just keep on nudging it, keep on fine-tuning it, because you have a belief that you will get it to work, and that's really what drives it.
Yes, and obviously a lot of perseverance. 18 years on this path, and you're. So tell us a little bit about Aqua Ox, because that's your business, and if you can, Michelle, I'd like you to kind of share with us, your experience in those hospitals in Russia, and the military hospitals, and what captivated you about that there, that has kept you engaged now for 18 years.
Well, first of all, what I liked about what I saw in East Europe was the simplicity. I mean, if you can make a powerful cleaning agent and you can make a powerful disinfectant on site, then you overcome a lot of other issues like transport, packaging. So it's a very green, sustainable solution if it works. Mm-hmm. It took me about 18 years to get where I am, and that means that that although the concept was there, in order to get it ready for the market here in the United States, a lot of things had to be in place. I founded my company in 2007 in Florida, basically in the beginning as a consulting company, using the European facility as my production facility. In 2012, I made a big step by getting a partnership here, and the partnership basically meant that I didn't have to go out and sell equipment to make a living. It really allowed me to stop selling, to take a step back and just work on the foundations of this technology. So over the last 2 years we've been working on cell technology, we were working on equipment technology, we were working on how to stabilize liquid. So we work on all those things, and that was a good decision to stop selling. I mean, our technology is really perfected in the last 2-3 years, and there is already a success because we have successfully licensed a part of the technology to a local company that is using it for making wound care products.
Interesting, and I think one of the things you said before we got on air was that no, we don't sell things. How did you put that?
Yeah, I always say so. I don't think we are a sales company. We are a clean tech process engineering company. So we engineer solutions. So we don't sell anything. But what happens if people like what we do, then they will buy from us.
And so that's a beautiful segue. Thank you very much. Because what I was looking for here is that as we're moving ahead, there are two things that are interestingly convenient today, given the crisis on Ebola, but more importantly, what we've seen recently is the virus that's attacked all these kids all over the United States. I think you said that there was a case of hoof and mouth disease in the East Coast. We know that literally 25% of all hospital stays end up with the person who goes in to be healed, gets sick, because basically there is very poor ways of being able to disinfect the hospitals to make them really, really clean. And my understanding, that's what's really attracted you. Is that an accurate?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, health is one of the most important things that you can have in your life. So a healthy environment is crucial to be healthy. And if we go right now to schools, or we go to hospitals, or to other facilities, the way we clean and the way we disinfect is just not doing the job. And it's not that you can finger point it to one single item. It's a combination of a few things. I mean, we expect that the lowest paid employees in a hospital is taking care of this very important job. And then we expect them, that we give them some tools, some disinfectants, using those people, that we will get good results. Well, the proof is that we don't get good results. In fact, the results are terrible, and that's why you see those outbreaks of C. diff, you see those MRSA outbreaks. I think those things can be prevented, but it can only be prevented if we have a comprehensive turnkey system, where you engage the people of the hospital, where you engage the cleaning staff, where you engage the nurses, where you engage the management, and then you have to change the system altogether. So it's not one magic thing that will do it. It's almost like teamwork.
No, exactly, and I think one of the reasons that I wanted you on the show, there's always been the ability to solve problems across the United States where we are. But many times I find there has been no will. And what I mean by that is that, as an example, instead of a hospital, and you and I were talking a little bit about your role as a CEO, one of the things that attracted me to you personally, Michel, is that you were both willing and able to learn, because you said, I have so much to do, I have to have other resources, or else I won't be able to get to where we want this to go. In light of that, one of the things that you've helped me understand, and it goes back to these principles I was talking about, unless your company and everybody in it in the hospital has unified vision, and that vision is that we will have no or zero infections caused by poorly cleaned instruments, then we place it all on, like you said, on $9 or $10 an hour people who really don't understand the power of what they do and how that can transform the hospital. And so I like what you're telling me is that the challenge is that we are accustomed to simple solutions for complicated problems.
Correct.
And what you're saying is that, yes, this is simple, but it's not easy. And I wanted you to share a little bit about your experience, because basically, as you said, instead of selling your process, you wanted to go in and improve it. Give us a couple of examples of how you went into hospitals and verified the challenge that we're talking about here and the change that you saw in the people once you were able to really break down that, I don't even know how to define it, that malaise or that sense of well, we only get $9 an hour, so that's all. That's
well, there is a certain status quo in cleaning. People believe this is the way it is, this is the way it always has been, and it's the way it will be. And it's our mission, and we believe that we can break that. We believe that we can change the status quo, and showing them that by on-site making sustainable liquids by using some smart applicators, that we can change the results. So how do you do that as a small company? Well, I was fortunate enough to employ a previous EVS manager from a hospital.
Okay, what's EVS?
They call it environmental cleaning. So,
okay.
So that's really the part of the hospital that has the responsibility to make sure that all the services are clean. So I got him on board. It's about a year ago, and then we discussed how we do it. So we want to get in the door first. So we go to hospital directors, and basically we say, how do you know that your rooms are clean, terminal clean? Well, it seems that they rely on the service company, and the service company give them the numbers, and they said, well, why don't you allow us and we will check if those numbers are right. And then we did those checking, and we basically found out that between 30 and 40% of the terminal clean rooms are not clean. And then we checked it with the nationwide numbers, and that is more or less in line. Although it's not acceptable. I mean, if you are a patient and your immune system is low, you would expect that you sleep in a room that is terminal clean. Well, it's not.
Terminal clean means it has no bacteria or no germs.
Correct. So because your immune system is low, and if there are bacteria, that's the point that you contract infections.
Right.
So we did that. We saw the numbers, and then at the same time we did not only show them, you see the numbers are not good. We cleaned them with our system, and our number was about 2%. 2% of what we did was not clean, and that is very much the same as the number in Japan, where they use this technology already. So we showed it to the hospital, and they said, well, these are the numbers. What we would like to do is the following. We would like to train your staff on our equipment, and we like them to continue what they do right now, and we just follow them. We follow them, and we will analyze the results. So what happened is that the hospital staff that does the cleaning, of course they were not totally informed what and how and where, but they were aware that we were following them. We were aware that we will track how good they are. So always people afraid of change. So they did a real good job, because they didn't know what we had in mind there.
Right.
So whatever they had, they said, well, we're going to be checked, so let's make it as clean as possible. And they did, and they really worked hard. So the number came down, say, from 38 to 24% on average. So the
now
best,
this is the frontline cleaning staff.
yeah. So they did the best efforts, and still 24% of the rooms filled. And then we let them do our system, and whether they were motivated or not, I can't tell, but the number was 2%. And that was very powerful, because when we came back to the staff, I said, listen, we know you did this, and we know you did the best to get it clean. We don't know how motivated you were with our system, but this is the number. So it is not you. You work with a broken system. And that was a big hurdle to take. But once we took it, basically the cleaning staff became a believer of our system. And then it just went all the way to the top of the hospital, and everyone became more aware, you know, we should do this. I mean, this makes sense.
And if you're a hospital administrator, an example, you know, I would imagine among the biggest fears is an outbreak of MRSA or C. diff, you know, those infectious diseases that are created by unclean rooms.
Yes.
And so when you go from 32% to 24% to 2%, there is a statistical improvement that is extremely profitable to the hospital. So if you look at it just as bare numbers, it's significant. Is that correct? Tell me.
Yeah. Well, under the new Affordable Care Act, hospitals have to pay for treatment of patients that got infected in their hospital, and those infections on average cost. And the numbers vary a little bit, but I've seen numbers that an average infection cost $15,000 to $25,000. Wow. So hospitals have to pay for that. So there is a big liability there, and at the same time, there's a big pressure to turn over rooms. So rooms are supposed to be turned over in 27 minutes. In 27 minutes, it's difficult to do an excellent job. With our system, we have proven that we can do this in 27 minutes, and therefore we can reduce the liability of the hospital, and therefore we can give them savings over time.
Significant. So, given that this is such an enormous benefit, what's the biggest challenge you're facing in being able to market this and have people accept it?
It's a good question, because as I said, we're thinking that we are a clean tech engineering company. So we're not per se a marketing company. We're not a distribution company. We have with our
you're a solution company.
Yeah. We have a technology, and with our technology we will try to solve some issues. So we know we have, with this infection control system, we have figured out a solution. In order to grow now, we are looking for strategic partners, because it's not in our genes to go out and market it. It's not in our genes to become a service company. We will do a couple of more hospitals to make a showcase. Demonstrate. And after that, we're talking with a few partners that are willing to take it on to the next level. I mean, we have more technologies that we can apply to other markets. So we would like to do, like we did last year with the wound care products, where we license it away. We would like to get the infection control system licensed to one or more companies, so that they can run with it, and that the public really can see the benefits of it.
And so, you know, one of the things that there are two parts of this question. One is you as a CEO who's expressed a desire, since I've known you, to be able to, one, build a technology and prove that it works. The second one, and I'm asking this in terms of helping listeners now understand, you know, the power of good leadership. Tell me a little bit about what you're doing, including the licensing, to take all this 18 years of experience and be able to spread it out in some entrepreneurial, effective way.
Well, I always, first of all, you got to have faith, You got to trust in yourself and then make a decision. So that's always what is governing me. Also, you have to understand your limitations. So I understand that I probably will not be a good manager of a service company. I probably will not be the best manager of a distribution company. But I feel very confident and very at ease with what I do. We are playing with the technology, we find some solutions, and once it is there and we prove it, the proof is really the key point. Once we prove it, we just hope that there are other companies that take it and so far so good.
Yeah.
But it is not in our genes, and I tell all my people, this is what we should do. This is our core business. And that is not our core business, but it's probably someone else's core business.
Right. No, that's a very good example. And so the point is that you've already recognized your strengths, and you're now delegating or outsourcing your weaknesses to organizations
Correct.
whose core competency is in distribution.
Correct.
Or that's a very good example. The other thing that we touched on prior to the start of this that I thought was really fascinating. One is that I talked about the Ebola and what's going on in West Africa, and you made a very, I think, insightful observation saying, we could do something about that, but there are things right here within my arm's length that we need to be focusing on that could be more value.
Yeah, as I said, I working or recognizing your limitation. I mean, Ebola is very tragic, but in Africa, much more people die of malaria, and the public apparently doesn't care about it. So to help people in Africa, it's going to be a difficult task. What we could do, we just could go back to what we do here and protect ourselves in this neighborhood.
Right.
I mean, I have proven with this infection control system that the system more or less is broken. So we should learn a lesson and try to apply that here. I mean, I'm not providing here a quick fix, but I'm providing here something structural so that in future an outbreak of a virus or even the fast increase of hospital-acquired infections will be reduced, and we can do that. So I think we should focus on the things that we can do here right now as a structural way, rather than panicking and reacting on something that is happening.
That's a very good observation. And one of the things that you observed, and now that I understand, the technology works on electrolysis. So when you have your mister, explain a little bit about that. The specific thing I'm referring to is, aircrafts who are now contaminated. Tell us a little bit about how your technology could expedite the disinfection of something like that, a closed container.
Okay. First of all, our disinfectants that are EPA approved, these are produced, or we call them generated, using a piece of equipment where we charge the water. So these liquids are not chemicals per se. We call them, they are metastable. Means that they are biodegradable. So that's why it is really sustainable, a good solution for the future. That's why we can say they are greener. However, we should apply them within a certain period. I mean, they're effective and they do work, but they don't last. And that is a good thing. But it gives us also a limitation. So we use those liquids, and we want to use those liquids in the most effective way. So we have electrically charged liquid, and if we would spray them with an electrical charge as well, then the hypochlorite acid, which is the active ingredient, will go to every surface and it will wrap it around. So the surface will be grounded. And we give it a positive charge, and it wraps around.
So it's like electroplating.
Yeah. So if we go to back to a hospital room, you look under the bed. We have coverage. If we would apply that into an aircraft, then basically our team will come with a backpack or something like an electric sprayer and spray in there, and it will go everywhere. So if you have your tray, You don't have to get it down. It will wrap around. It will wrap around. And that is probably the most effective way to get our solution on a surface.
And you know what's interesting about that, I'm sure you're familiar with Edward Deming.
I'm not.
All right, well I'm going to very briefly explain this because I think it's relevant to your explanation about Japan. Edward Deming was the father of quality.
Okay.
And basically in the early 50s he designed this quality system to reduce errors, which is the predecessor of Six Sigma, which is 4 parts per million or 6 parts per million. And he brought it to American industry and said, I have this quality control system that would eliminate errors and eliminate mistakes. And literally, he could get no audience at all. Because basically, in the 50s, Americans were making money because there was no intact infrastructure in any place in the civilized world. But he went to Japan, and the rest is history. The Japanese picked up those things, and the reason that we buy Japanese cars in America now more than we buy European or American cars is because the quality's higher. As a testament to that, you just said that the Japanese hospitals use your technology and have only 2% as a rule compared to the 30%. Was I correct when I heard that?
Yeah, that is correct. And this country is so big, and it gives us a lot of opportunities. But in many ways, it makes us also very lazy. I mean, Japan is almost like the Netherlands, very small and very crowded. The only resources they have in both countries is really the people. So they have to make business out of the people. And here in the United States, we have oil, we have everything here. So we have land, so if we have waste, we can put it in the corner, and it doesn't bother us. So this is probably why small countries and very crowded countries are very good in new innovations, because they have to. Japan is using this in hospitals, and this is not new. What I'm doing is not totally new.
Didn't you say they've been actually using it for 30 years?
I don't know exactly how long, but yeah, it has been used in hospitals, and within my organization, I employ people that have been working in Japan. So I have that experience brought in. The principle is not new, and it's not new because I saw it 18 years ago in Russia.
Yeah, right. What would you, given what you're doing here, and you've told already that it's important to stick to your core competencies. If you were to give advice to another entrepreneur right now in terms of him or her being more effective, what advice would you give them based on your 18 years of perseverance on this?
That's a difficult question. I could give many advice, which is more like a general advice, but I really think you should believe in what you do, and the rest will come. I mean, you will go up and down as some kind of a roller coaster, but if you just always fall back what you want to do, and if people say no, then that should be an opportunity. And if people get upset because you want things done this way, and they get upset because you say that, then you probably said something right, because now you got their attention. I mean, if you say things and everyone agree with you, you're probably not going into the right direction. So you have to try to find the border, but always from your inner perspective.
One of the things that you've kind of indicated, and because you've stuck on your core competencies, obviously hospitals is one market that's important. We talked about a second one, which would be aircraft.
I would categorize those markets as one. We have 3 different divisions within Aquaworks where we're looking for solutions. So one is the hospital infection control market. I think we have discussed it. We have done this year something else, which is maybe not so groundbreaking, but it's very important. We work with a company that is sanitizing and washing most of the eggs. It's one of the largest companies in the world. We have successfully replaced a very caustic chemical with our solution, which is organic. And small success, but it changed the play field. So
now we're talking
doing
about eggs. So
yeah.
Okay, so you remove all the salmonella, any bacteria on them. So when
when eggs are being packed or primary being packed, they have to be sanitized and washed, and they still use all kinds of caustic chemicals.
Right.
And of course there is a drive and a need to have everything organic. We want to buy organic eggs. We don't want to use those chemicals. So that company asked us if we could do something better. We didn't know if we could, but we worked the last 4 or 5 months, and basically we have proven that we can replace that caustic with a way less caustic, an organic liquid, and get the same results.
Right.
So that's in totally in a different area. Right now we're working with some dairy farms here in California. There's a huge drought going on, and there is not enough water, and we need to conserve water. There is water on farms that is used to wash the animals, to clean the animals, to wash. We think that we can reuse that water, and by doing so, we might be able to conserve water, which is something we have to do right now in California. A third area is oil and gas. A lot of biocides are used for fracking. Chemicals are used to treat the water that comes out of the wells. There are problems in the wells with gases that arise. The standard chemical is right now 2% glutaraldehyde. We have proven that our biodegradable biocide is twice as effective, and basically we could replace it. It's not happening right now. It will take some time. I believe as regulations will step up and water shortages get bigger, at a certain moment they have to use our liquids. Right now, if they can get away with the cheapest liquid or chemical, the companies will use the cheapest chemical. It's an oil and gas, more or less a waiting game, but I think we have the solution to use in fracking. So if we start fracking in California, we should not use the chemicals. We should use the biodegradable solutions that we have.
Right. No, and that makes a lot of sense. I think part of the issue is economic. And what I mean by that is that you have a very entrenched chemical industry who spends an enormous amount of money and makes an enormous amount of profit on these chemicals to clean and sanitize. How are you dealing with that, and how do you overcome their lobbying efforts and their efforts to maintain control over large parts of the market?
Well, it's tough. I mean, you can't compete one-to-one. These companies are way too large, have way too much money to spend. I mean, so you have to find certain niches, and then you have to find ways around your product offering that makes it unique. And I think we have proven with the infection control system that if we add applicators, if we do stuff, and we get smart cleaning tools, then we can pack it, and now we can compete. But bottle for bottle, a chemical for my solution, I will never win this.
Right, right. So tell me how, because I think what I understood, because you've proven this, you don't simply say it is better, but as you did at the hospital, you proved that it was more effective. What is the biggest barrier to a hospital migrating from the current chemical to your solution, which is obviously more effective, but I assume the upfront costs are going to be higher?
No, we have not charged. So we have a contract with a hospital system in North Carolina. We have not charged them an upfront fee. We charge them a monthly fee over a certain thing. And so for them there is not a big a step to take. If we want to implement this on the largest scale, then I said I need other companies around to take it. I as a small company cannot finance 100 hospitals, just putting equipment out. I mean that was just in capital too much money. So I want to do it a few, and then provide the model that if someone would purchase the equipment and purchase the whole thing, they can make money, passive money for the next 3 years. If that model, if I can prove that, then I'm sure that there are other companies that said, hey, I want to be in that model. I want to do the service to hospitals. And now a hospital would be would be very happy because they see a service company servicing them, rather than an engineering company doing something.
Got it. I think what might be fascinating to you, I had the privilege of knowing at one time Jim Robinson, who was a former president of Pratt Whitney, one of 3 companies that manufactures engines for large jets. And what surprised me, I said, how do you go to market with those? And he said, well, basically, if you're the CEO of American Airlines, we simply come into you and say, here's one of our engines and here's $2 million. And I said, tell me a little bit about that model. And the model was very consistent with what you just expressed. He said, what we do is we make our money on the service because we have to manage those engines, we have to repair them. And to me, that model that you're talking about, and it goes back to the point you made, if you continue to work in your core competency, and then you find licensing agreements with larger companies who are willing to then move that in the marketplace, they win and you win.
Correct, and it is not that we just say, here's our equipment, here's our applicators, here's our tools, and here's our protocol. Once they go in there, all our equipment are remotely controlled, and which is very important. So, because we are making on site in hospitals, we're making cleaning, sanitizing, and a disinfecting liquid. We cannot expect that the staff that is cleaning also is a chemist. So what we do online and just remotely monitored, we are checking the quality of the liquid, and then every day we can send a sheet and we can ask them, could you check this, check that, this syrup. And by doing so, we give them verification that the disinfecting and the cleaning that they have done for that day has been done with the right liquids. So it's not, we are providing service and we have to. But that's a part of a service, it's a part of our core technology. We have developed a piece of equipment, and although we let other people run with it, it is our liability and it's our obligation to make sure that that equipment does what we tell them to do.
And I think one of the other things that you expressed, Michelle, that I thought was really interesting, it goes back to the core of my belief that we undervalue what frontline workers really do. And part of what you said is that when you had gone into these people who are at the bottom of the economic rung and explained to them what you were trying to do and demonstrated to them how much more effective they could be, instead of resisting it, they really found now they could actually measure the value of what they did. Tell me a little bit about their experience and your experience with them when they went and did the best they could and then saw the difference between your results and theirs.
Well, whether you so if you work for me, you basically you're in the field because you're helping, you're working with the client.
You're right.
You're providing a solution. So in this in the hospital, my guy really worked with the staff and really did the same thing they did. So they learned from us seeing and doing, rather than telling you do this and do that. By this, just simply by the fact that our people were there for 3 months, and by the fact that they were using it, slowly they became a believer. I mean, there's nothing magic in there, but they start using it, and they slowly saw the benefits out of it. People are always afraid of change, and I think rightly so. But if you slowly impose them to new things and you guide them, they're willing to embrace it, and that's really what happened.
And you saw that, and it actually, and now you're using this, and how many hospitals are actually using
we use, right now we use one healthcare system, and they have 5 facilities. They have two larger hospitals and then some small facilities around. So we're taking care of that. That hospital facility is part of a larger group, and our goal is over the next year to slowly expand it to that larger group.
Right. So you've kind of used a pilot methodology in which you're picking up 1 or 2.
Yes.
Oh, cool. And you're slowly but surely picking up 1 or 2. I wanted to thank you. Is there anything you'd like to say in wrapping up? There's 2 things I'd like to ask you. Just kind of finish, and then, if you would, Michelle, give us your contact information, because we'd like to have people who may have want to know more about your technology or want to see how they can apply in their hospital, how they can reach you.
They can go to the website. It's www and then aquox, AQUAOX.net.
Okay. And if they want to talk to you personally, who should they call?
They can call the office, and the office number is here. I have to look because I don't use it too much. It's 909-829-1664.
Repeat it, please.
909-829-1664.
Great. Is there anything else you'd like to say in conclusion?
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. I want to thank Michelle here for being here with us today as a guest. This has been another episode of Catapult Your Business with Good-Hearted Leadership. And one of the neat things about working with Michelle, and I've known him now for probably 2 years, is that he really exemplifies the characteristics we're talking about, what it takes to be a good organization, and he really understands the value of focusing on his core competency. I can only wish him a lot of luck. I'm really grateful to have him as a guest here, and I want to continue to invite you to call him if you have interest in it, or if you'd like to know more how to apply this. The second thing I'd like to do before we wrap up for the day is we're offering our Good-Hearted Leadership class, and it's going to be offered here in the Inland Empire on December 4th and 5th. If you want more details, go to our website, goodheartedleadership.com, and you'll see that at the end. I want to thank Michelle again, and this has been a great opportunity to really share something that I think is important in terms of our current problem with Ebola. But here, as he said, at home, we have similar problems that we could solve very quickly if we were both willing and able as leaders to make that happen. Thank you very much, and we'll see you again next time. This is Ray Anderson.
Anderson Business Coaching inspires extraordinary organizational results by engaging the talents of ordinary people. ABC opens the communication links from the top to the bottom of the organization to tap into an untapped reserve of creative ideas and solutions by the people who do the work every day. Secondly, we identify external resources that have the experience and capability to develop systems and processes that the internal staff can manage.